on October 15, 1938, in the city of Abeokuta in colonial Nigeria. A boy was born into a family already steeped in activism and intellectual life. His name was Olufela Olusegun Oludotun Ransom Kuti. The world would come to know him simply as Fela. His mother, Funmilayo Ransom Kuti, was a pioneering feminist and anti-colonial activist, while his father, Israel Oludotun Ransom Kuti, was an Anglican minister, school principal, and the first president of the Nigeria Union of Teachers. From the beginning, Fela's life was framed by the twin forces of music and resistance. Fela's early education was at Abeokuta Grammar School. There he showed little interest in academics, but a growing fascination with music. In 1958, his parents sent him to London to study medicine, but he chose instead to enroll at Trinity College of Music. There he studied trumpet and composition, while immersing himself in the jazz and highlife scenes of the city. He formed his first band, Kula Labitos, blending West African rhythms with jazz improvisation. These early experiments laid the groundwork for what would later become Afrobeat. By the mid-1960s, Fela returned to Nigeria, bringing with him the sounds and ideas he had absorbed abroad. He reconstituted Kula Labitos in Lagos, performing a fusion of highlife and jazz that was popular but not yet revolutionary. The turning point came in 1969, when Fela and his band toured the United States. There he encountered the Black Power movement, the writings of Malcolm X, and the activism of the Black Panthers. He befriended Sandra Smith, later Sandra Isidore, a member of the Panthers, who introduced him to radical politics and Pan-Africanist thought. This encounter transformed him. Music, he realized, could be more than entertainment. It could be a weapon of resistance. Returning to Nigeria, Fela renamed his band Nigeria 70, later Africa 70, and began to craft a new sound. Afrobeat was born, a fusion of Yoruba rhythms, Ghanaian highlife, American funk, and jazz, driven by complex polyrhythms, extended grooves, and politically charged lyrics. Songs stretched for 15 or 20 minutes, building hypnotic layers of sound, while Fela's saxophone, keyboards, and vocals carried biting critiques of corruption, military rule, and social injustice. Fela's music was inseparable from his politics. In 1970, he established the Kalakuta Republic, a commune in Lagos that housed his family, band members, and political allies. He declared it independent from the Nigerian state, a symbolic act of defiance. Within its walls, he built a recording studio and a community that lived by its own rules. He also opened a nightclub, The Shrine, where he and Africa 70 performed marathon sets that drew crowds of the marginalized and the disillusioned. The Nigerian authorities saw him as a threat. His songs like Zombie, which mocked the mindless obedience of soldiers, and Coffin for Head of State, which condemned political leaders, struck at the heart of military rule. His music gave voice to the frustrations of ordinary Nigerians, and in turn, the state responded with violence. In 1977, after the release of Zombie, the military raided the Kalakuta Republic with brutal force. Soldiers burned the commune to the ground, destroyed his studio, and beat Fela and his followers. His elderly mother, Funmilayo, was thrown from a window during the attack. She later died from her injuries. Fela responded by placing her coffin at the gates of the military barracks in Lagos, a symbolic act immortalized in his song, Coffin for Head of State. Despite repeated arrests, beatings, and harassment, Fela refused to be silenced. He changed his surname from Ransom Kuti, which he saw as a colonial imposition, to Anikulapo-Kuti, meaning he who carries death in his pouch. He married 27 women in a single ceremony in 1978, many of them dancers and singers in his band, a gesture that was both personal and political, challenging conventional morality and asserting his independence from societal norms. In 1979, as Nigeria transitioned to civilian rule, Fela founded a political party, the Movement of the People, MOP, and announced his candidacy for president. His platform called for African unity, cultural pride, and resistance to neo-colonialism. The authorities barred him from running, but his message resonated with the disenfranchised. Throughout the 1980s, Fela continued to release albums that combined searing political commentary with infectious grooves. Songs like Beasts of No Nation condemned global leaders such as Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, and South Africa's apartheid regime. His music was banned on Nigerian radio, but it circulated widely through bootleg tapes and live performances. His concerts at the shrine became rituals of resistance, where music, dance, and politics fused into a single force. Fela's defiance came at a cost. He was arrested more than 200 times during his career, often on trumped-up charges. In 1984, under the regime of Muhammadu Buhari, he was sentenced to 5 years in prison for currency smuggling, a charge widely seen as politically motivated. Amnesty International declared him a prisoner of conscience, and after 20 months, he was released. By the 1990s, Fela's health began to decline, but his influence only grew. His sons, Femi and Seun, carried forward the Afrobeat tradition, while his legacy spread globally, inspiring musicians from hip-hop to electronic music. On August 2, 1997, Fela Anikulapo-Kuti died in Lagos from complications related to AIDS. He was 58 years old. His funeral drew 1 million mourners, a testament to the impact he had on Nigeria and the world. Fela's life was a paradox of contradictions, a champion of freedom who could be authoritarian in his commune, a critic of patriarchy who married dozens of women, a man who rejected Western domination, yet embraced Western instruments and forms. But his contradictions were part of his power. He embodied the complexity of post-colonial Africa, its wounds, its defiance, its creativity. Today, Fela is remembered not only as the creator of Afrobeat, but as a prophet of resistance. His music continues to inspire movements for justice, from Lagos to London to New York. His shrine has been rebuilt, his songs reissued, his story retold in musicals and documentaries. He remains a symbol of what it means to speak truth to power, to turn rhythm into rebellion, and to live, as he once said, with death in his pouch.